So what is Battlefield 2? Battlefield 2 is the third game in the popular Battlefield series, which got its start way back in 2002 with Battlefield 1942. That was a game that revolutionized the way you play action games online, because rather than simply run around a relatively small level on foot against a handful of other players, Battlefield 1942 opened up the entire level, giving us huge battlefields to run around, fly around, drive around with up to 63 different players. Battlefield 2 takes that formula and updates it with not only up-to-date graphics, but with a slew of really cool new features that revolutionize the game and make it something like you've never played before. Unlike its predecessors, which were set during World War II and the Vietnam War, Battlefield 2 is set in a hypothetical near-future conflict that pits the United States and the forces of China and the fictional Middle Eastern coalition. The thing to keep in mind with Battlefield is that the game doesn't have a story, nor does it have any politics. You play as any one of the three factions, and for gameplay purposes, the factions are all pretty much identical to one another. Battlefield is all about wild and woolly multiplayer combat, and this is something that Battlefield 2 has in spades. This is a game that is literally filled with countless awesome moments. There are desperate firefights galore, dogfights in the air, helicopters buzzing around, artillery coming down around your head, and more. You'll hear the crack of a bullet zinging by your head, have the satisfaction of guiding a missile into the side of a tank, and race desperately for your life with an attack helicopter on your tail. But what makes Battlefield 2 different are the new features designed to let you fight as a member of a team. You're no longer running around like a very well-armed mob. First off, the game has built-in voice support out of the box, meaning all you need is a headset or a microphone and you have the ability to talk to your teammates. The first time that you play alongside other gamers who are using voice is simply amazing, as you can instantly communicate with them without having to hassle around with typing on the keyboard. Next up are the new squads, which is a new feature that allows players to organize in the game. You can only talk to members of your squad, so that eliminates the danger of having 64 players screaming at each other over the headsets. Squads are led by squad leaders, and they have a job not only speaking to the squad, but of communicating with a commander, or one player who's in charge of the entire team. The commander has very powerful abilities at his or her command, from the ability to drop artillery on top of an enemy position, to providing spy drone support or dropping supplies to a beleaguered squad. If you put these new features together, Battlefield 2 quickly becomes unlike any other game you've played before. It's simply amazing. If you've ever run around and played soldiers as a kid with your friends, you'll get an idea of what playing Battlefield 2 can be like. There's an immediate sense of camaraderie that you have with your teammates, since you can talk to each other instantly. And the game is designed so it feels like you're working in a real military structure. Obviously, your experience depends heavily on the quality of your fellow teammates, which is always a danger in online games. The good news is that it doesn't take long to pick up and learn these potent new features. But if you want to avoid human nature altogether, you can play against new computer-controlled bots, which are light years more advanced than their predecessors. In the game, each side has 7 kits, or different weapon types that you can play as. And one of the cool features of Battlefield 2 is that you get to keep a persistent identity this time, meaning that you have a character that gains experience and rank. This will allow you to unlock new weapons, but it also means that you'll gain priority for the commander mode. The balance in the game is excellent, especially right out of the gate. There don't seem to be any overpowering vehicles or weapons like there were in earlier games in the series. There's very much a rock, scissors, paper nature to the combat, as every weapon and vehicle has a counter to it, so it's important for you and your team to create a balanced force. Battlefield 2 does require a fairly powerful system to run on. Basically, you'll want to have a graphics card that's a couple years old at the most. Any older and you'll push it. Vehicles are beautiful to look at and control, and there are so many different thrills to experience, like the rush of flying a helicopter at treetop level, or when you're battling street to street as an infantryman on the ground. The game also sounds incredible as well, and the sound effects can be downright harrowing, especially if you get your speakers set on high. Battlefield 2 does come with a few blemishes, namely the server browser is clumsy and slow, which makes finding a game a bit frustrating at times. Trying to rebind your keys can be annoying as well, because you have to flip through different pages to unbind them at first. And, worst of all, the loading times can be excessively long. However, these are all fairly trivial concerns, because in the big picture, Battlefield 2 is simply an amazing experience. The best thing that we can say about this game is that, at its worst, it's just as fun as its predecessors. But when everything in this game is clicking, and when you're fighting alongside teammates who can talk and listen to you, the experience elevates to something that we've never felt before. This is simply an awesome game, and there is no doubt in our minds that Battlefield 2 is one of the very best games that you can play this year.